Now, back in the 90s, I didn't only attend mob trials, I attended other federal trials as well. And one very interesting trial I sat in was a bench trial where they charged Richard Bailey, a con man, where he conspired in the murder and disappearance of Helen Brach, the candy lady, who was worth millions of dollars back in the 70s. Now, back in the late 90s, I went to the bench trial that Judge Shador presided over of Richard Bailey. He conspired and is one of the men responsible for the killing and disappearance of Helen Brach. Helen Brach, till this day, her body has never been found, so they couldn't charge him with murder, but they charged him with conspiracy. Now, the prosecution in this case did a really good job of showing Richard Bailey's patterns. They called up widow after widow after widow of wealthy women that he befriended after their rich husbands died. He would wine them, dine them, travel with them, befriend them, ask them for loans, never pay back the loans, and basically draining their bank account, destroying their lives. Now, another suspect in the disappearance of Helen Brach was her houseman, Jack, the guy in the picture below. But he was never charged. He acted very suspicious after she disappeared, spending a lot of her money and cleaning of her house. The only man ever charged with the disappearance of Helen Brach was Richard Bailey. A lot of people think he was innocent, but I agree with the judge after hearing all the evidence that he did conspire Richard Bailey to kill Helen Brach. Now, some of the evidence and witnesses at this bench trial was one night Richard Bailey and one of his buddies were drinking, getting drunk, and a young girl who was scared of these guys hid in the closet. And she testified years later that she overheard them talking about Helen Brach, saying that the candy lady isn't so sweet anymore. The defense pounded on this girl's memory, but the judge believed her and found her credible. Now, Helen Brach was also a victim of Richard Bailey's con. He befriended her after she lost her husband. They became very close. She was very passionate about horses. He sold her what she thought were championship horses for a couple $100,000. She found out only later that these horses were only worth a few thousand, ready for the glue factory. She was upset, hurt, and threatened to go to the authorities. Now, at the end, the judge found Richard Bailey guilty of conspiracy in the murder and disappearance of Helen Brach, took him into custody. He spent many years in jail, finally got out, still claiming his innocence in his early 80s. He was the only person charged in the disappearance of Helen Brach. If you like my stories, please subscribe.